Hey guys, welcome to the final video for week number 3. Once again, we'll be covering another hero. And this hero was called, here's the original doodle for him, the Power Punch Punk. So once again, and it was interesting as I remember as I was kind of looking at this little doodle, I was just like, wow, he was heavily influenced by the Luke Cage television show that I was watching at the time. The show obviously wasn't the greatest, but it was still a pretty good show that I guess it obviously inspired me to do somebody that looked very similar to Luke Cage, I guess. So, but but yeah, this was the original doodle, Power Punch Punk. So let's go ahead and get into his um, redesign. I hate saying redesign because with this character, not a whole lot changed. I kind of really just enjoyed the way he looked. I think one of the key things that I changed was a bit of his origin story, his powers and abilities, and kind of how he, his name is the Power Punch Punk, and kind of just add a little more to that reasoning behind his name. I gave him like these power gloves that several other heroes have as well, and so I may do a little bit of more of an exploration of these gloves that these heroes wear and what they imbue to the wearer. So, but one of the other things too is I gave him kind of this sleeveless sweatshirt kind of a look. And then the rest of him just kind of these dark pants and boots, and then the gloves you'll see here now, as you're seeing here now, just kind of drawing out these gloves. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else to really discuss about him. Not a whole lot changed from his original design. Once again, backstory a bit different, but yeah, I mean, yeah. Hopefully in the future, I think it's next week's set of heroes. I probably will be diving a little bit more into the backstory behind these gloves that these heroes have that accentuate their powers and abilities, kind of a thing. So, yeah, just basic coloring. I went with more of an orange, you know, not a whole lot different than Luke Cage. I think wears like a yellow hoodie or a yellow shirt or something like that, and so I went with more of an orange one. But hey, like what was it? Pablo Picasso said, great artists create, excellent artists steal, or whatever, or whoever. I don't remember if that was Picasso or one of those guys that I think said that, and I always thought it was kind of funny, but yeah. So still a fun hero to design, and backstory and stuff like that, and he's one of those guys that. He'd always be one of those. It'd be fun to do like a little mini series comic book of and stuff, just because he's kind of one of those relatable heroes. A lot of superheroes, they're just so powerful and stuff like that that it's difficult for a lot of people to relate with. But he'd be kind of a street level kind of vigilante hero that be a little more relatable and fun to do a little short story about. So let's take a look here at the Power Punch Punk. So yeah, here's the final illustration for him. So let's get into his powers and abilities. So Power Punch Punk. LeBron Jones is the quintessential diamond in the rough story. Growing up on the southwestern side of Florence, on the outskirts of Los Angeles, he was surrounded by gangs and violence from a young age. Though raised in a God-fearing church-going home, many of his uncles and older brothers were drawn into the gang life, bringing its chaos back home. At just 15, LeBron's father was gunned down on their front lawn, mistaken for one of his uncles. The tragedy instilled in him a deep resentment for the world he lived in. Years later, while camping with friends along the Pacific coast south of San Clemente, LeBron stumbled upon a pair of strange silver gloves, each marked with a mysterious Y-shaped rune. Thinking little of it, he tossed them into the back of his truck and forgot about them. Until one night when a group of gangsters came to collect money from his mother. In desperation, LeBron slipped the gloves on and was instantly transformed. His strength and speed surged to superhuman levels, allowing him to overpower the attackers and send most of them to the hospital with near-fatal injuries. His real name is LeBron Jones. He's 6 foot 3 inches in height and weighs about 225 pounds. So just an average, height and weight for, an African American in his 20s. So powers. Under normal circumstances, LeBron is an athletic man in his early 20s. But when he dons one or both gloves, his physical abilities increase exponentially. Testing conducted by the Titan organization revealed that with the gloves equipped, LeBron's durability becomes nearly impervious to small arms fire and blades. His strength increases to the point where he can lift over 1 ton, though his punching power is his true weapon. In one recorded test, researchers drove a 25-ton armored personnel carrier toward him at 65 miles per hour. LeBron stopped it cold with a single punch, completely obliterating the vehicle. From that day on, he earned the name Power Punch Punk. So once again, kind of looking at his power stats here, he's got, a little bit above average strength and durability. His speed, kind of just on par with an average 20-year-old adult with, athletic training, normal college level intelligence. His real peak is in his power projection. Although he can't really emit like power beams from his hands, just the sheer, impact by his gloves, can create projectiles that are dangerous. But yeah, most of his ability comes from just the sheer power and energy that comes from his punches. So, and then stamina is, on average, a little bit above average, an athletic human being, with these gloves imbued. So, but yeah, so that is the Power Punch Punk. So he concludes the 3rd week here of Heroes. And so I look forward to seeing you in week 4 with a whole new batch of heroes. So we'll catch you in the next video.